Welcome, my dear students. In this session, we are going for the explanation of the another device in the measurement of flow, and that one is called rotameter. Okay. In this session, we are going to study about its working principle and the equations that involved and the numericals that we are going to solve based upon this particular rotameter. Okay. As I told you that the rotameter consists of a vertical tube. So it consists of what? Very, very important thing is that a vertical tube with a tapered cone. Okay, with a tapered cone, and in which the very, very important is the main role is played by this float, which is present inside the vertical tube in a vertical position. Okay, corresponding for measuring the flow rate of the tube. Flow rate of the tube. I will show you practically how this thing is going to be happen. It is also called constant pressure drop, or it is also called as a variable area meter. It is also called a variable area meter. Now here, if I'm going for the definition of a rotameter, any rotameter itself, if I'm going to take it, it is a device. Okay, it is a device that can use it to measure the flow rate of any particular liquid or a gas. Okay, we are not always, we are not going to take okay, here I'm going to take it always only liquid. I can take it the inside, I'm going to take it that it is filled with either gas, or I can go for or I can go for the liquid also. Okay, so in this rotameter, okay, the main role is played by this particular float position, my dear students. Okay, this float plays a main role here the measurement of the liquid is moving from this is top to, and it is moving to the that is at the here. I'm going for the here bottom to top. It that is bottom to top, my dear students. Measurement of the flow of the liquid or gas, and it is a tapered metering tube. Okay, it is nothing but the corresponding tapered metering tube. Okay, and here when there is no liquid passing over here, the float remains rest, and that condition is called equilibrium condition. Okay, either the main role is played by this particular float. See here, the flow of the liquid will in this direction, and the gravity is acting in this particular direction. Okay, that's the reason this particular rotameter is used to measure the flow rate of a liquid or a glass inside a that is closed tube, my dear students. Okay, here this is a fundamental equation. If I am going for the what is the fundamental equation for any, okay, for any incompressible flow through any tube, that is given by this one, QV equal to C. Okay, C into E into A2 into G into this is PD. This is differential pressure like this. The differential pressure is like this, PD. Okay, the differential pressure equation will be, okay, the differential pressure equation will be P into D. So all the parameters we are going to take it here, C, E, A, this is G, and this is the differential pressure and rho. Okay, so here C is the discharge coefficient in this expression, E is the approach velocity of approach factor, A2 is the orifice area. I will show you orifice area means that is present inside the float. The float is like this. Okay, so internally here this is orifice is present. I will show you. Okay, that is area of the orifice. G is the acceleration due to gravity, and PD is the differential pressure, and rho is the density, my dear students. Okay, that important is, this is very, very important. Based upon this equation only, we are deriving some certain other equations also. Okay, now as I told you that earlier, what I told you, okay, we have discussed already. We have discussed about the things like C or orifice. Okay, Venturi finished and Pitot tube finished. So if all the other parameters we are going to take it as constant, then automatically the flow rate Q is proportional to what? The differential pressure PD. Okay, so here Q is proportional to the differential pressure PD, my dear students. Okay, in the case of the rotameter, okay, A2 is the area between the vertical, okay, tube and the float. Okay, so if I'm going for the rotameter, go for the previous one. Okay, so A2, what is the area between the vertical float? This is, okay, the area which is this area is called A2, my dear students. Okay, so in that it is there. Okay, so similarly here the, if I'm going to take it the certain parameters like C, E, and pressure difference, acceleration due to rho, all these constant for a particular fluid, then automatically what happens? The flow rate is directly proportional to A2. Means based upon this particular equation. Okay, in the if I'm going to take it, sometimes the flow rate is when the flow rate is QV is proportional to the differential pressure. If I'm going to take all the other parameters is constant. When the flow rate is equal to, okay, where that is area, when remaining all these particular parameters are going to be constant, my dear students. Okay, that's what he has explained over this one. That's the reason it is called a constant pressure drop or variable area. Constant pressure drop means it is here Q is proportional to the differential pressure. Here the Q is proportional to area. That's the reason it is also called constant pressure drop, or it is also called a variable area potentiometer. That is a, okay, rotameter, not sorry potentiometer, it's a rotameter. Okay, now here it is a vertical tube of conical area. Then I will show you practically of a conical shape. Already I told you the area gradually expanding from bottom to top. It is expanding from bottom to top. The fluid allowed to flow in an upward direction in the tube. The liquid is flowing from bottom to top in the upward direction, because how is the this is the general structure. How it will be? This is if I'm going to call it as like this. Okay, then what happens? The liquid is flowing from the down to top. Okay, and if the disc is placed, which is means here sometimes some people will use the float in terms of a disc. Okay, or the float will be in terms of some like parameters, different parameters we are going to take it. Okay, then inside these particular disc or whatever the thing I have taken, in this one a simple orifice is present. Okay, this orifice is between the perimeter of the disc, means and inside surface of the tube with the corresponding pressure drop. Okay, so because of this orifice only the pressure drop is going to be occurring, and which is okay set up between the perimeter of the disc and the inside surface of the tube. Okay, so this orifice I am going to set perimeter means the total, the circumference, okay, between that and the inside surface of the tube. With that only the corresponding pressure drop is going to be occurring. Okay, initially there is no liquid. Okay, as I told you that there is no sort of liquid that is flowing okay inside the tube. As I told you, that situation is called the equilibrium situation. Already I told the situation. What is the situation? Equilibrium. Now here the very important parameters we are going to see that what happens if the fluid means if the liquid is flowing through the rotameter. Okay, so whenever here I'm going to tell itself is whenever a liquid is flowing through the rotameter, it will have the pressure drop. Okay, which will have the pressure drop altering the relation between the inlet and the outlet pressure. Okay, so because of the orifice only this particular pressure drop occurring, because of that what is happening means okay, there will be an altering changes that are going to be occurred at the inlet and the outlet. I will show you that that particular one in the next slide. Okay, this upsetting the equilibrium for the force acting on the disc. Okay, so then what happens automatically whenever because of that particular pressure drop, then automatically what is happening, okay, if I'm going to take it okay, because of that particular pressure drop only, okay, here what is happening completely, okay, see the force is acting on the disc. Okay, so equilibrium means because of the liquid that is flowing from the that is bottom to top, my dear students. Okay, now here because of that particular one, what is happens, the disc is moving up. And see here what happens, if I'm going to take it here, if I'm going to take it this is this is a constant pressure. Here the liquid is flowing from here to top. Okay, from here to here the liquid is flowing. This is a float. Okay, so here whenever the liquid is flowing like this, then there will be a change in this position of this particular float. Okay, that's what I'm going to tell you over here. The discal float will move up or down, thereby creating the variable area of the orifice. Yes, that's the reason we are going to call it as a variable area potentiometer. Okay, or it is called a rotameter. Means here the disk position, if I'm going to see that where is the disk position, okay, the disk position, the disk is then moving up and down of the tube, thereby it is creating a variable area of the orifice until the pressure drop okay, is at its origin value when the forces are again at equilibrium. Okay, then the position of the float in the tube is the measure of the rate flow. That is the reason how we are measuring that particular, okay, the rate flow, okay, that depends upon the, that is position of the float. Means because of the liquid is flowing from the bottom to top, the float moves up and down, thereby creating the a simple area in the orifice. Okay, that I'm going to tell you itself until the pressure drop is at its original value when the forces are again at equilibrium. Okay, see here the analysis. Suppose what kind of forces are acting. Okay, first one itself is consider the forces acting on the float in the vertical column, okay, of a liquid as shown below. Okay, the weight I will show you practically in the next slide. The effective weight W acting on the float, I already told that if this is a float, the weight, that weight is W, which is equal to this one. And what is this? Vf into rho 2 minus rho m. Vf is the volume of the float and rho 2 is the material density of the float, and rho 1 is the density of the liquid, my dear students. Okay, now here I am going to say that what kind of total forces that are acting, okay, under the rotameter. Let me depict you in a detailed manner. Concentrate, my dear students, it is pretty important over here. Okay, see here, I'm going to take it, the forces are acting on the float, not exactly on this one. Okay, I'm seeing the what kind of forces are acting. One is see here, the forces and their respective formulas are very important. Here, this is the downward force. This is upward force. Here, here. Then when the liquid is flowing always from down to high, bottom to top, here. So here here what is the this is at equal zero position. So here it is moving from upward force to the here. Here what happens, the gravity is acting. Okay, here the force is acting, and here the distance is, actual distance is d. Okay, then it moves to the downward, then it becomes the distance becomes half. Okay, so when the downward force is acting, then automatically the distance becomes d by 2, my dear students. This is okay, the glass tube, glass tapered tube. That's the reason this is called a conical one. Okay, here the main role is played by this one. In this one, the downward force is Fd, upward force is Fu. Okay, for all these particular forces on the float, I am going to bring back the expressions in the next one. Okay, this is, my dear students, very important. What the things are happening, the liquid is flowing here like this. Okay, so here whenever there is no liquid, this float is at equilibrium position. But what happens whenever the liquid is flowing here, then automatically what happens here, what happens that is the liquid moving from here means there is a change in the position of this particular float, my dear students. Okay, very important, that you must remember. Okay, that's the reason this rotameter is called what this rotameter is also called variable area rotameter. So here when no fluid is flowing, the float rests, okay, at its position. But what happens here whenever the a liquid is flowing inside the pipe, then the fluid reaches the float, and the because of the buoyancy effect of the fluid, makes the float lighter. Okay, usually float has density greater than the flowing material, so that the buoyancy effect alone is not sufficient to lift the float, my dear students. Okay, that's the reason float passage remains closed until the pressure of the flowing material plus, okay, fluid buoyancy effect, okay, exceeds the downward pressure due to the weight of the float. Okay, that this is because of that particular concept only. Here what is happening, the liquid is flowing from here to here. Okay, and because of this particular, why the pressure drop is occurring means because of the movement of the liquid, my dear students. Okay, so now I have explained all this particular concept over here in a detailed manner. Now we are going to see the equations. Okay, see here the downward force, the formula for the downward force that is acting on the upper surface of the float, Fd equal to P means what is the formula for pressure? Pressure equal to force per unit area. Okay, so your downward force is equal to F2, that is equal to this one. What is P2? Pressure per unit area on the upper surface of the float, and AF is the surface area of the float. This is a formula for the downward force. And upward force acting, the upward force acting on the lower surface, it is acting, this is acting like this is acting at down. Okay, F2 is equal to P1 into AF, pressure per unit area on the lower surface of the float, and AF is the surface area of the float, my dear students. Okay, now here what is, there is one more force that is going to be acting, a drag force. Because of this drag force, only making D, okay, tending to pull the float in the upward direction, okay. So that is in the direction of the flow which may be concerned, and this force is called that is represented by equation, and this drag force is equal D equal to K into V into IF into N, where D is the drag force, another force K is a constant, and V is the velocity of the fluid, and N eta is the absolute viscosity of the fluid, and IF is a dimensional function equivalent to length, okay. So what is the balanced condition that I'm going to tell you? Because of three forces, one is the downward force and one is the upward force, and the downward force is Fd and upward force is Fu, and the drag force D makes that one balanced condition you are going to get, my dear students, and that particular condition is this, my dear students, okay. So because of this particular, okay, that is upward plus dragward force, the balanced condition is the specific weight plus downward force. This is very very important, my dear students, okay. So here what happens, the viscous drags effects, because the dragging force is very negligible, so we can eliminate this particular value. Then automatically what happens, this D function is becoming zero. The substitute the values of the all these particular parameters as from the previous, okay, the that is slides, all these formulas. This is for Fu, this is for W, this is for Fd, okay. Now here, when the flow increases from an equilibrium value to an increased pressure differential P1 minus P2, then then automatically what happens, the ratio P1 by P2 increases, which means, okay, the force, okay, is this one is becoming greater than this particular terminal. Means here what happens means, whenever the fluid flow increases, means equilibrium means that is from the null position, then a differential pressure is going to, because of that particular differential position pressure, what happens means, okay, the ratio of P1 by P2 increases, means this particular parameter is always now greater than this particular complete parameter, my dear students, okay. Now automatically, now float is free, okay, it will move in any direction. Generally the float moves in upward directions because the movement of the liquid flow is from the bottom to the top, okay. And I told you that the orifice area, due to the expanding sectional area of the tube and pressure differentials, okay, falls proportionally, because the movement of the, okay, or that is orifice, because of this particular expanding sectional area of the tube, pressure differential falls proportionality, my dear students, okay. So finally, see here what happens means, the operation continues. We can continue the operation until the differential pressure reaches to its original value. Then again the float is coming to the equilibrium position. Then the new float, whatever the new float is a measurement of the flow rate. Means when how we are going to measure the differential pressure means, here if I'm going to take, this is a general rotometer, this is at equilibrium position, the pressure itself is P1, okay. When I'm going to pass this liquid, then this particular float will be, this is P2, and the differential pressure itself is delta, only you are getting delta P equal to P1 minus P2, my dear students, okay. So which is a measure of a flow rate, okay. Now from those particular equations, okay, you are going to get, okay, see the equations that I'm going to use, and this is the parallel equations of the pressure differential and the area and volume of the fluid in this particular one, okay. And from this bring back P1 minus P2 outside, okay, this is okay, another equation, okay. This operation occurs when the flow rate decreases, my dear students. Now substituting all these particular parameters over here, then you are getting QV equal to C into E into A2 into 2G by, this is, my dear students, velocity of this one is, this is velocity of the float, this is the area of the float, okay. This is rho 2, okay, minus rho 1 by again rho 1, this is rho 2 minus rho 1 by again rho 1, okay. Now what is this A2? A2 is the gap area between the float and the tube, and X is the displacement that is moving from the equilibrium position to some other position. That displacement is what? X, my dear students. Now see here the above equation. Now change the parameters where K is the proportionality. Divide numerator and denominator by A, that is okay, X, then automatically K equal to A2 by X, and C into X into E. This is a parameter. You see the next, that is previous one, okay, C into A, okay, into, but we are multiplying numerator and denominator over here. Here only I'm multiplying denominator and numerator by x. Then what happens? A2 by k equal to A2 by x, my dear students. Okay. So where k is the constant of proportionality, my dear students. Okay. Now in rotameters, generally the velocity approach factor. Okay. The velocity approach factor having a, okay, no significance. So I have eliminated that e over here. Okay. And this is the equation for the flow rate, k into c into x into this one. Okay. And the mass flow rate of the liquid is see, mass flow rate, if I'm going to take it, means there is one more density comes into the picture. Generally, the questions that will be asked in the flow meters, in the rotameters, is that he will keep all these particular parameters, okay, all these particular parameters as a constant. He will bring back the relationship between Q, that is volume flow rate, and that is densities. Okay. So based upon this one, we are going to solve one problem based upon this one. Okay. Now we are going for the advantages. Okay, later we are going for the numericals. Okay, so first point itself is the main advantage of this particular rotameter is okay, it gives a visual indication on a linear scale. Yes, the rotameter is moving like this, it is moving from up to down. There is a linear scale is there, so you are going to get what visual indication, and the cost is less, and it has a very good accuracy when compared to the other flow meters. Now here, so the advantage itself is so these rotameters, they generally works for no external. Okay, we should not use any sort of external power or fuel. Okay, and it uses only to completely depends upon the properties of the fluid and the gravity especially. Okay, so it completely depends upon the properties of fluid and gravity to measure the flow rate. Okay, and that's the reason a rotameter itself is a relatively simple device. Okay, so it is manufactured with very cheap materials, allowed for its widespread in use. Okay, that's the reason we are going to use for a longer times over here. Limitations. Okay, so here the disadvantage of the drawbacks itself is that because of the use of gravity, okay, the rotameter must be always vertically oriented, okay, and right way up with the fluid flowing upward. Okay, it will be used only in the upward direction because the liquid is flowing from always top to, that is bottom to top. They should not be used in a, okay, horizontal position. That is the drawback. Okay, now disadvantages, I told you that these particular rotometers, okay, will be accurate for only given substance for a given temperature. Okay, the properties are accurate only for the given substance or given fluid and given temperature. Rotometers normally require the use of very less transparent material. We are going to use glass. That's the reason its sensitivity is very less. Okay, and this limits the usage in many that is industries because of this sensitivity usage of water. And rotometers are not easily adapted for reading by machine. Okay, it cannot be easily as adapted. We can you only view the measurements by water, by the, okay, visual indication, or else we cannot use these particular rotometers in a machine purposes. Okay, so because of having these particular drawbacks, okay, we are going for the next instrument and applications where we are going to use the rotometers. Means we are going to use in laboratory testing and production lines. It can be integrated in for instrumentation in alarms, indicators, various types of controllers, and the recorders, my dear students. Okay, and last topic is the numerical. Only one numerical has been basic numerical, that is based upon the concept. Okay, now we are going for the numerical based upon this particular rotameter. Okay, listen here, a rotameter is calibrated for measuring a liquid of density 1000 kg per meter cube, has a scale ranging from 1 to 100 liter per minute. It is intended to use this meter for measuring the flow of the gas of density 1.25 kg with a flow range between 20 to 2000 liters per minute. Determine the volume density of the new float. If I'm going to take it, if the original one, what is that original one? The original one has a volume density of 2000 kg per meter cube. The shape and all the other parameters are to be same. Okay, here the question itself indicating is that he is going to use two parameters. One is the liquid flow, another parameters he is going to use is a gas flow. For liquid flow he is using the subscript as 1, and for gas flow he is using as 2. Okay, Generally, what is the expression? I told you Q equal to all the parameters. Okay. So these parameters, I told you that all other parameters are remain to be changed. So this is the between these parameters and this particular parameter, you take it. So Q1 equal to this. I'm going to call it as this total one. What I'm going to call it as what? This one is called constant K. Therefore, K into root of this is K, density of fluid F1 minus rho1 by rho F1, that is for liquid, subscript for second Q2 equals as is for glass. And he has given the ratio also. The ratio is here. One is 1 to 100, another is here where it is 20 to 2000 liters. Means here 1 to 100, see here 1 to 100, 20 to 2000, means 20 by 1, you have to take the proportionality equations by this one. So then you are going to get Q2 by Q1. Okay, means that is Q2 is what for gas flow. Okay, that's the reason I have done this one. Then Q2 by Q1 is 20. Now substitute the values of the density of the float, and already has given that the density of this rho 2. Okay, so the density of the float you need to calculate, and here rho 2. Rho 2 is what 1.25. 1.25 is what flow of gas. Okay, and here this is rho 1. Rho 1 is what 1000. 1000 is what density of the liquid. Okay, next okay, that is density of the float of 1. 1 means what? Liquid flow. Okay, minus all these particular parameters, you are going to get the final value is that is 501.25 kg per meter cube. Like that, we are going to solve the problems in the coming problems also. Thank you very much, my dear students. We have completed the session over here. Okay, next we are going for the next session in a detail manner.